Hello, and thank you for choosing Nothing Burger. Today on the menu we have a game called Avowed, which launched February 18th, 2025. Honestly, I don't know what platform it's on other than Xbox because that's what I played it on. It launched on Game Pass on Xbox, and I was a little bit scared when I got like the notification a few weeks beforehand that the game was launching on there because it was an RPG that I'd never heard anything about. But I love roleplay games, so I said, fuck it. I got excited. I let myself get excited. I gave it a try. And let me tell you, after approximately 50 hours, I beat it for the first time. And I absolutely fucking loved this game. Unapologetically, I will defend it. I loved this game, dude. It was great. It's getting a lot of hate from some people for describing it as a Skyrim-like. And honestly, the only thing that I could say is, in my opinion, super similar to Skyrim is how the view is in first person, because of the way that you like hold your weapons in each hand and everything. It's just kind of similar to when you would dual wield swords in Skyrim. But otherwise, I mean, it feels like its own fucking game, dude. It flows differently. It plays differently. The story is so diverse. Whenever they use like certain phrases to describe things or like names of things, if it seems a little nuanced or like if it's something that the player might not know about, you have this option to like press the button and it'll explain what it is without without changing the dialogue going on, so it kind of just halts it for a moment. Also, yeah, I know I should probably be having Avowed gameplay going on while I'm talking about the game, but yeah, I'm too lazy to fucking bring my Xbox over here and record me playing it for like what'll probably be a few minute long video. So you're gonna get whatever fucking footage I got, and you're gonna like it. So just deal with it, okay? I got a couple notes on some things I want to talk about here. So first, I'm just gonna go with whatever I got off the top of my head before I get through that. So Avowed is a game where you start out as an envoy, which is essentially like this representative or almost like a right hand to the emperor of this nation called, it's either Adira or whatever. It's the Adiran Empire, and you're called the Adiran Envoy throughout the whole game. The NPCs all refer to you as Envoy. You do get to name your character, but you're just called Envoy the whole time, with the exception of the fact they also call you godlike, because in this world, sometimes when people are born, they're touched by gods, which I know how that sounds. Don't make it weird, okay? But if they're touched by gods, it essentially makes them kind of like a demigod. And you are playing as a godlike of an unknown god. Nobody can tell what god you are supposed to belong to, and you, unlike any other godlike, don't know who your god is. So that's one of the driving like kind of subplots. The main reason that you are sent by your emperor to this land is that you're supposed to go root out this plague called the Dream Scourge that's spreading through the I think it's called what was it called? The Living Wilds, I think is what the land's called. It's this it's this big island continent split into multiple sections. You go through 4 or 5 different sections, but if the map is, if I understood the map correctly when I was playing it, it looks like there's like room for more. So honestly, if the game does really well, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some kind of DLC or something that expanded on the areas that you could go to and everything. But you go through 4 primary sections, and then there's a final little segment of the game where you return back to the beginning, but I'm going to try to leave this fairly spoiler free. Yeah, so it's a great game. Fucking the story is really interesting. At first it's kind of weird. You kind of are just going through the motions of like, okay, here's quest objective, let me go do this, let me go fight a group of things here. And as the game goes on, you kind of start to pick up on what's going on. It doesn't necessarily spoon feed you everything, but there's a couple points where you can kind of tell they didn't know how to give you information you needed, and it was just kind of thrust in there. Like I remember when you meet one of the NPCs, they give you an awkward, almost narrated like introduction to the character. So yeah, this is one of those games where your decisions matter. They reflect very heavily on the dialogues you'll have throughout the game based off what decisions you've made. And it's not just like pick A or pick B. Sometimes it's like based off your actions too. I know there's a whole quest where you can choose to essentially kill these multiple camps of people, or all you need is to steal their banners. So what you do is you just go through and you can stealth your way in and steal the banners that way. So It's interesting, and it'll reflect on how the rest of the world treats you, and all of it, in my opinion, weighs towards what happens in the ending that you get, because the ending, like, cutscene pretty much kind of recaps a lot of your major choices, and it tells you what it influenced in the end. So it's super interesting. You are spending a lot of the game being spoken to by this disembodied voice who you have no idea what it is. If you find these things called ancient memories, which are like these few but rare collectibles, they give you these really interesting insights into the history, into the lore of the world. So it's yeah. Those of you who know me know that I am a huge fan of vanity systems in RPG games, really in any game, but especially in RPGs, it seems to be the most common. For those of you who don't know, vanity system, which is being in called recent times a transmog system, is where you can wear a piece of equipment and make it look like a different piece of equipment. You know, if I want helmet A's design, but I want helmet B's stats, I put on helmet B and I make it look like helmet A. So the first time I saw it called transmog was in Diablo 4, and then this game also, Avowed, also uses it. So it's kind of, I don't know, I don't understand where the word comes from, but it is what it is. It's a neat, easy little system. The only thing it doesn't work on is weapons, but it works on helmet, chest piece, leg piece, and boots. So yeah, do with that what you will. It's really fucking solid, easy system to understand. Combat is a lot of fucking fun in this game. It moves quick, and it can be pretty unforgiving if you're not careful. I know, especially towards the end, I was struggling a little bit. I explored the fuck out of this game. Like, I dug my teeth into it, and I ripped it apart. So I found a really good weapon in the first act. I don't remember what it's called, but it's a flaming sword that as you kill enemies, you regain health. And then if you pair that with a skill that you can get where on a kill, it restores a certain amount of your companion's health, you essentially are just in a constant rotation of healing so long as you're killing. The only thing is you have to make sure you're staying on top of like your upgrading and all that, which the upgrading system is super easy as well, and it translates. So in area 1 you'll find certain materials, and then area 2 you'll find different materials, but you can craft those different materials out of the stuff from section 1, and so on and so forth into sections 3 and 4. You'll find more for higher tiers, and you can translate what all you had before into those higher tiers on top of discovering it all naturally, whether it's on bodies or on the ground or whatever. The combat, like I said, it flows very neatly, and then you have 2 weapon sets that you can have equipped, so you essentially can equip up to 4 weapons, or 2 weapons, 2 shields, or two-handed weapons, whatever you want to do, you can equip 2 different sets essentially. And it's just bound to a simple Y press to swap between them. It's a fairly quick animation, but if you're just fucking off while you do it, you can mistime it, and you can get a little fucked up while you're switching weapons trying to get ready. Especially if like your other set is, let's say you're using I forget what they call it, but it's essentially a spell book. If you're using like a spell book in one hand and a wand in the other, the spells aren't exactly instant cast, so you have to sit there and fucking get it ready. And the wands, yeah, they're quick, but they're also a little weak, so it's like if you pull it out and you just start casting your wand right away, it's not going to do as much. That kind of leads me into the other thing I want to talk about, varying magic. Magic is super cool. There's a bunch of different spell books, so like you start out with one that has a simple, it has a fire, ice, a lightning, and I think a wind. I didn't really use magic that much. You can level up your magic casting abilities and whatnot, and your ability to use each spell and all that, but you also find other spell books that are themed around different things. So like you might find a spell book that has more fire spells than the one that you have, different fire spells and everything, and if you want a more fire based magic system, then there you go, you have that available to you, and so on and so forth with the other systems. Ice was one of the system spell types as well. And then there's wands, which wands, from what I've noticed, I don't know, I didn't really use wands very much, but they're pretty simple. It's almost like a gun, but it's just magic. You sit there and you wave the wand around and it shoots out little bursts of spells at people. They don't seem to be themed around anything, they're just magic type damage. Exploration in this game is a ton of fucking fun. The world, yeah, each area is different from the last one, and then even inside the areas, you feel like you're just constantly going through this almost like carousel of environments. You're either going through like bandit camps, or you're going through fucking wilderness, deserts, mountainous regions. Yeah, it's a ton of fun. You can discover so much shit, random chests, random combat encounters. A lot of the times I found most of the bounty targets in an area before I even found the bounty ward because of my explorations. I would just come across them, fight them, kill them, claim the bounty item. It was a neat little surprise. And then, like I said, that's also I found that sword. That was really good. With that, this kind of leads into my next point as well. Exploration can also lead to skipping quest steps, which is a super cool mechanic in my opinion. You can accidentally skip entire portions of quests because the quest line might be like, hey, you're starting at A, you're going to B, C, and then you'll get to D because of B and C will, you'll find clues or you'll meet people or whatever, right? But if ultimately the only important part is that you get to D, you don't have to pick up something from B, you don't have to tell someone to meet you at D from C, anything like that, then if you just happen to find point D and you're able to trigger the event, then you trigger the fucking event, It was kind of cool to me, because I know, like, I had a section towards the end of the game where I was supposed to go to an area, and I was like, okay, this feels like the end of the game, so I'm just going to be careful and not go there quite yet, because there's a lot of this area I haven't explored. So I avoided that little spot like the plague, and then push comes to shove, later on in my exploration, I just happened to stumble on this cave. I went through the cave and I got to the end of the cave and they were like, oh shit, here's an objective, you were supposed to find this, but it's fine, I was like, damn, that's crazy. So I don't know what I missed out of that quest from doing that, but I don't think I missed much. It sounds like we were just trying to get into an area. Anyway, Avowed is a fantastic experience, especially for a first time, and I'm currently playing it again to try out an entirely different set of dialogues and, going a different route to try to get a different ending and everything. It's a little tough with all the other games I'm playing at the moment, but I'm having a fantastic time with it, and I think you will too. So, if you have anything that you want to say, go ahead and drop it in the comments. I hope this video has been entirely unhelpful to you, and I hope you have a bad day.